Welcome to StarTechies, my way to the world of technology. I'm Kristen and I'm the Communications Manager at Inicio. So what is StarTechies all about? These talks are designed to provide insight into the multitude of career paths available in the tech sector. Today we're joined by Charlene Sequeira. Charlene studied for a Master's of Science in Embedded Systems and a Bachelor of Engineering. During her studies, Charlene was also one of Inicio's super popular mentors. She is now a product owner at Cybercom. Now, looking through her study and career history, there's a few words that caught my attention, and today she's going to explain what they mean. Scrum Master, Cybercom, what is it? Embedded Systems and Product Owner. So let's hear all about Charlene's study background and her career and find out what these words mean as well. So warm welcome to Charlene. Hi.
Oh, thank you so much, Kristen. It's lovely to be here, and it's so nice to be sort of back helping out at Inicio again.
Studied engineering, and when we were talking earlier today, you said that your parents have a completely different background, economics and chemistry, but you and your sister both studied engineering.
Yeah.
So why did you get into this field? What inspired you?
So let's go sort of way back. When I was in high school, so the way the education system works in India, where I come from, is we have 10 years of school, and then we have 2 years of the secondary school, which sort of translates to the 9 years of school here and the 3 years of gymnasiet. And before you sort of make the decision into which gymnasiet or which sort of field you want to major in, we have a 10th grade exam that you need to sort of answer and then choose where to go to. For me, since I'm one of those people that really likes planning my life, I sort of started looking at options when I was in the 8th grade, 9th grade, because I really liked math when I was back in school, and I wanted to continue for 2 more years learning some more math. And for that meant that I would move into a science track, where we would then focus on a lot of math, physics, chemistry, biology or geography. Now, while I was doing that, I was also trying to evaluate what I would want to continue with after I finished my gymnasiet or 12th grade. And then I sort of was dabbling between engineering, medicine, or math. And that was when I was still in the 8th grade. Simultaneously, while at home, I would always help out with any electrical stuff that needed fixing. For example, we always have Christmas lights that I'm pretty sure you all have the same issue. When one of the bulbs goes out, it's like, oh my God, it's a pain. We need to fix it. And I would make my own sort of series of lights. And then I learned a bit more about what it is like to connect bulbs in a series connection and in a parallel connection. What would happen if one of the bulbs was not working? So I went more into the basic physics in a more practical sense when it came to this kind of an application. And I realized along the way that I was very intrigued by this and wanted to know more about it in a more holistic view on how this would work on other electronic devices. And that sort of pushed me into wanting to focus on more of an engineering field. So then when I went into the 11th and 12th grade, I decided that I was going to do only math, chemistry, and physics. And instead of biology, I would just pick geography because that was an easier alternative for me. And then I would spend the time that I had focusing on the sort of 3 main subjects that I needed to get into engineering school after that. So that was sort of my thought process on why I wanted to do engineering. And then when it came to, deciding what engineering field I wanted to focus on, the school that I was looking at had 4 major fields. So mechanical engineering, computer engineering, information technology, and electronics and telecommunication. And I looked through the sort of syllabus and the curriculum to find out what they were teaching. And I just really liked the stuff that was in the electronics and telecommunication program. So that's where I ended up for my bachelor's.
And what exactly did you do in the program?
So during the bachelor's program, the first year is sort of a common base year for all 4 different streams. But then when you sort of finish the first year and you move more along into the second, third, and fourth year, we learned a lot about signal processing, about digital electronics, about image processing, ASICs and FPGAs, microprocessors, and sort of peripheral devices. And that is what got me interested into embedded systems, where I ended up 4 years later, or after I finished my bachelor's. So so that's I mean, the whole sort of bachelor degree was a build up to what I eventually ended up, or to what I eventually ended up doing right now, if that makes sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when you're in the bachelor's program, then did you have an eye on doing a master's degree in the future, or you were trying to sort out what you wanted to do?
So it's very typical in Goa and in India that when you are in a bachelor's program, when you're sort of during your last year, because we have a 4-year bachelor program. So in your last year, we have a special team of professors and employer engagement team that sort of gets in companies to come on campus and have interviews and hire students right out. So I was a bit confused between the two. I mean, to be honest, I did end up with 2 job offers after I finished my bachelor's. I eventually ended up turning them down because I realized that I did want to continue studying, and I sort of weighed the pros and cons and did a mental list. And according to my personal priorities, it just made more sense to study some more. And KDH was a really good school. So it was a very nice experience to move to a completely different culture, a completely different country, a different university, lots of different diverse backgrounds that met up at the same place to study the same subject. I really loved it. So that was what I sort of had on the top of my pros list for this experience. And that's why I chose to continue studying. Mm-hmm.
And why KDH? What was the draw card here?
Well, to be honest, I was looking at schools all over the world, and everyone has this sort of American dream that they want to go to the US. But when I was looking at schools in the US, they didn't have a master's in embedded systems, and I was very picky with what I wanted to study. They had a master's in electrical engineering, and then I could choose to specialize in embedded systems, but my background was not electrical engineering. The slight difference between electronics and electrical is that when you're talking about electrical engineering, you talk a bit more about power transmission, the transformers, the power cables, whereas electronics is more about printed circuit boards, your different ICs, system on chips, and the small things that go inside your computers and that kind of things. So I didn't want to sort of change my whole 4 years that I spent studying electronics and telecommunication to end up doing a master's in electrical engineering, where I didn't really have that much of a background. So then I switched focus and started looking at Europe, and I found KDH. I found a couple of schools in Holland, a couple of schools in Brussels that all had masters in embedded systems, and I didn't have to do a master's in anything else and then specialize in embedded systems, which is what I really wanted to do. And then I looked through the program, sort of trying to check out what I wanted to do after I finished studying as well. What kind of area would I want to work in? And Kista, as we know, is the Silicon Valley of the Nordics. It just made complete sense for me to move to KDH and to Stockholm. So yeah, that's why I chose Stockholm.
And just so I'm clear, what exactly is embedded systems?
Okay, so I'm going to try this to the best of my abilities and try and explain this to everyone. I will try and give you an example as well. And so an embedded system is essentially a computer system that has a microprocessor and input-output peripheral devices. So I know that makes no sense. So I'm going to try with an example. So you see a phone here, no product placement, by the way, but you see the phone here. The phone in itself is not an embedded system, but if you look at the camera, so that is sort of an input device to my phone where I can click a picture using the camera. The chips inside the phone that do the image processing is the microprocessor. we have memory on the phone that stores the picture, and then you have your screen, which is sort of the output device for you to see. So the camera part of your phone is an embedded system in itself. And your whole phone is then made up of a bunch of different embedded systems that make up the phone. So that is essentially what embedded systems is. Does that make some sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Finally,
perfect. I've been trying to explain what embedded systems is for years, to no avail. So I'm very happy that made sense.
And obviously, this is an area where there's a lot of job growth as well.
Yes, there is. There is. I mean, totally. And I mean, when I started my my master's, there was the whole Internet of Things boom, where it was like the best thing to go to. I mean, it still is, but we have a lot of artificial intelligence that has now taken over the Internet of Things burst. But yes, I mean, with the Internet of Things out. There's a lot of job opportunity and a lot of growth within embedded systems. Me, for instance, I work in as a consultant for a telecom company where we do a lot of 5G development, and that ties into the whole Internet of Things in terms of the facilitator for connecting different devices and sharing data between different devices. So there is a lot that one can do in embedded systems. Yeah.
And what exactly do you do in your job now at Cybercom?
So right now at Cybercom, I work as a product owner towards my client. What that essentially means is I have a couple of teams that work together with me. And me as a product owner, I'm responsible to maximize the value of the code and the product that my teams deliver. At the same time, I am responsible for all the work that they do. So say, for instance, we want them to build a car. Then me as the product owner of that car would have to break it down into different iterations that the team could then work on. And then I would prioritize based on the requirements that I get from my stakeholders. So from my end client, what do they want out first? And then I prioritize the items that they work with, so that my teams work with. And then my team then picks up an item during a sprint, which is basically 3 weeks long. And during those 3 weeks, they work on this one item. At the end of it, we have a deliverable that's out that can go to a client. So we then sort of work in sprints, or every 3 weeks, picking up new items from the backlog that I have set out for the team. And then at the end, hopefully, we will have a car that is ready to be shipped out to the customer. So that's essentially what I do. I manage all the work that the teams, or that my teams work with, and also prioritize what they do and make sure that they are not disturbed by a lot of other people asking them to work on items, because the other people need to go through me to get my teams to do work for them. So yeah, that's essentially what a product owner is.
And now you're working with teams from all over the world as well, Vietnam, other countries?
Yes, so I have 2 teams that are based in Kista. Those teams are all multinational and cross-functional teams. And why I say cross-functional is because all of them are engineers, but they have different tech backgrounds. So we have some that are like me from embedded systems. We have some that are from mechatronics, another very good program to look into if you're looking at KDH. They have a really good mechatronics program. We have some that are from biomedical. Sorry,
what is mechatronics?
So mechatronics is, I might be completely off here, so don't listen to me word for word. But mechatronics is basically is embedded systems plus looking more at the mechanical side of electronics. So you learn about motors, you learn about a little bit about machine learning, you learn about actuators, and more of the hardware parts of a robot. That's essentially what you will learn in mechatronics. So you do a lot more hardware and a lot less software, I would say, compared to embedded, where you do a lot more software compared to hardware. So that's mechatronics, but they're very, very closely related. They're sort of like sister programs. So yeah, so we have a lot of mechatronics engineers. We have some that work or studied biomedical. We have some that did IT, some that did computer programming, computer engineering. So we have people from sort of different disciplines within the engineering field that work together. And that's why we call them cross-functional teams, because at the end, they sort of support each other and help each other to be one formidable unit, whereas individually they might not have all the competence they need, but as a team, they have everything they need to succeed. So I work with a lot of teams that are based in Stockholm, in Kista, but I also have a team that is co-located, where half of the team is based in Stockholm, half is based in Vietnam. But at the same time, I work with a lot of teams that are based out of China, in Beijing and in Nanjing, and some in Ottawa in Canada, and some in Croatia and Poland. So I work with people from all over the world. And it's so much fun. It's the best part of my day. So, yeah.
It sounds very exciting. I mean, what is the most exciting part of your job?
Oh, that's a good question. So I would say the most exciting part for me is at the end of, as I mentioned earlier, we work in sprints of 3 weeks. And so at the end of 3 weeks, I have a group of other product owners and I that work together, and all of our teams gather for a demo session where we sort of look through what the teams have worked on the past 3 weeks. And I mean, a lot of the times we don't have concrete demos to show, but sometimes, or more often than not, we have something that the teams can actually demo and show that, okay, this is something that we have been worked on and this is how it works. And then you actually get to see how the code that they have developed works. And I mean, for me, that's the best part of being a product owner, is that you actually get to see what your team has developed, what they have worked on after you have, prioritized this. And you can then look at what is already done and then maybe get some sort of retrospective on sort of thinking what actually needs to be added next to maximize the value the value of the product for the client. So that I mean, I really love doing that. So that's the best part of my job, I would say.
And how long have you been with the Cybercom for? I've noticed that you've gone through different levels. You've worked your way up.
Yes, I've been at Cybercom for 3.5 years now, if you don't include my thesis. So I did my master thesis at Cybercom. So if we include that, it's 4.5 years. So I started out at Cybercom as a thesis worker back in 2017. And I met them at Armada, which is a thesis fair that the KDH hosts every year. And after that, I just went to an interview that was that they set up, and we discussed the project that I want to work on, and how they were very adaptable to suggestions on their project proposal. So I adapted it to what I wanted to do, and we continue using that now as well, because I work a lot with students, since I'm one of the recruiting managers at Cybercom that actually hire students to write their thesis with us. And we always tell students that we want you to have the driving seat to choosing what you want to do on your thesis, because we think it's very important that since you're going to spend 6 months working on this project, that you actually like what you're doing, because it ends with you writing a report. And if you don't like what you're doing, the report ain't going to be good. So that's why we recommend that. And I really liked that I had that flexibility and that freedom. And so that's what made me want to start at Cybercom as a thesis worker. And I stayed because the people there are, I mean, they're the best colleagues I could have. They're really easy to work with. It's a very calm and open and warm atmosphere, and we are very culturally diverse, and I think that's probably going to be like a recurring theme, because for me that's one of the most important things, because I feel that I learn a lot from a culturally diverse environment. And yeah, I really like the fact that we have people from all around the world and with different tech backgrounds, and some that don't even have tech backgrounds that work at Cybercom. So yeah.
So you'd say for students that are perhaps watching this and thinking about doing a thesis in the future, to choose a company that you're passionate about and also write your thesis on an issue that you're passionate about.
Yes, definitely. I 100% agree with that. And I mean, always just a suggestion for when you are looking for your thesis, always look at the company's website, because it also helps that you know what the company does, or I mean, not completely does, but what they stand for and what are their values. Because then when you do go in for an interview, it just gives out a good impression that, you know, you've actually done your homework. And the reason why you bring it up is because it matters to you as well. So yeah, I would recommend that. Mm-hmm.
Seems like you always had your head, you always knew what you wanted to do.
Yeah,
Like,
but yeah,
subjects, you really had a focus.
yeah, yes.
That's quite
And I
interesting.
mean, I guess that helps a lot. But I like planning a lot, so that just worked in my favor. I know a lot of people don't like doing that, and I've been told by lots of others is. Life is what happens when you make too many plans, because you're always busy making plans and missing out on life. So I guess you need to find the good balance between how much of your life you want to plan and how much of it you just want to wing it and, you know, have fun. So I plan a lot. I mean, my professional life, I like planning, but when it comes to my personal life, I'm just like, I'll just wing it. So I think I have a balance, but we only time will tell.
But would you say that's one of the key attributes for your job? Like, you have to be a good planner.
Say now, as a product owner, yes, you need to be a very good planner, because I also need to plan out what the team will take in. So once they finish developing the car that we talked about before, then they would be sitting idle. So I need to plan what they will take in, and I need to do a time plan for when they will finish and when they will be available to start the next project. So in my current role, I need to do lots of planning. It's sort of an assistant role to a project manager, where I don't do the official project management, but I do a lot of resource management in my job. And yeah, so as a product owner, yes, you do need to be a very good planner, and you do need to, I mean, if you're not a good planner, you need to learn how to be one, but you need to do a lot of planning in my current role, yes. But when I started out as a developer, after school, you don't need to be a good planner for that. You just need to be someone that is willing to learn, and someone that is willing to ask questions and be curious and just know more and try and possibly fail, but then pick up the pieces and continue moving on and work through it. And when we have, I mean, for me, in my experience, when I started out in a team, I think, I was the youngest when I started out, and the oldest on my team was 60 or 59, and now he's 62, 63. We had this whole very nice safety net, where even though you delivered stuff and you probably maybe broke something, and you had people call you and say like, oh no, what did you do? You need to fix this soon. The team helped you out. So it was not you that took sole responsibility for things that you gave out, but it was the team. So you succeed as a team and you fail as a team. And that helped a lot. And we do that for every new student that graduates, that starts working with us. We put you in one of the teams so that you sort of build up this confidence to a certain level, that you feel that, okay, now I can do things and tasks by myself. So at that stage, you don't need to be a really good planner. You can just wing that part and follow the rest of the team and the Scrum Master and move on. It's when you start working as a Scrum Master and then moving on as a product owner or project manager, then you do need to do a bit of planning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's been a key theme in these StarTechies talks, that you don't need to know everything straight away, because I think people are very fearful that they might not have enough knowledge, or maybe they're not even ready to study at university level, but you learn as you go. You fail, you pick yourself up and you keep going. So.
No, that's true. That's true. And I mean, I work in the telecom field, but my only background in telecom was when I did my bachelor's degree. And I did probably 5 courses in telecom, and then I moved and I was expected to work in telecom, which, I mean, I had, I knew the terms, I knew what things were, I knew in general what would happen, but I didn't know what would happen had I to change things. And then you just sort of learn as you go, and you just need to be willing to take that step and, say that, okay, yes, this is something that I want to try. This is going to be fun. I'm going to learn as I go. And if I don't like it, I will try something else. But don't look at the sort of thing as what if, because you never want to end up years gone by and thinking, oh, what if I had done this, then what would my life be like? So I would recommend to anyone that is questioning whether they want to do university or not to go and give it a try. I mean, you don't want to end up, 50 years later and think, what if?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So what, maybe you could share some of the challenges that you've overcome. Maybe that will inspire other people. It's always good to learn from others' mistakes.
Yeah. So what I would say, I guess, when I was studying, is that I the first year that I joined KDH is, I think I put a lot of focus on studying a bit too much. Not that I got the best grades because of that. It's just that because I moved to a completely new country, and I mean, I was living with a lot of people from all over, so I had a lot of friends, but at the same time, I needed to find a good balance because I moved from a very sort of secure environment of living at home to moving to a completely new country and doing or having to do things by myself for myself. And it was, I guess, in the beginning, a bit hard to find that balance. So in this case, I guess it will be a bit different for all the students that are on the talk now, because they are all based here in Sweden, and they would have a lot of less when it comes to transitioning out from doing things for yourself without any assistance from your parents. So I would say that yeah, that was one thing that I could have done differently, and what I would recommend that students do is to, just, I don't know, just do it. I mean, you don't prioritize your studies too much. There's always a good balance that one needs to get to, and I guess that all depends on your priorities and your personal priorities at the end. For me, it was not getting the best grades, but it was more about learning the concepts and understanding how that would then affect my career, how my course choices would affect my career, what electives I should choose to end up where I want to end up. And that's where I spent a lot of my time, which then, translated into where I am now, because I then ended up taking a lot of courses that could help me get to where I wanted to be and get to a position to choose the master thesis that I wanted to write, because that also depends on the courses that you have done. Because I mean, say for instance, we have a lot of students now, talking from experience, that are studying embedded systems, but they want to write their thesis on machine learning. And then it's a lot difficult to give them that topic because they don't have a complete background in machine learning compared to someone that has a math background or that is studying machine learning that could be more qualified. So I would say, as general advice to everyone, is to sort of go through your curriculum at the gymnasiet that you are thinking of applying to, and sort of see how that translates to your eventual final goal of where you would like to end up, and then choose from there. I started doing that only when I was in my first year of my master's, which probably wasn't the best, because then you have to prior or do a lot of things at the same time. And if you do it before, then you sort of end up with one less thing on your checklist to do. So that's something that I would do differently. When it comes to, I guess, my bachelor's degree, I don't think I would do anything differently in terms of me choosing my bachelor's. I think maybe when I was in my 11th and 12th grade, I would have taken biology. Because I know nothing about about biology. I mean, seriously, I know nothing. I only have like high school level biology information, and it's just something nice to know. So I maybe, looking back, that was something that I probably would have done, but I don't think that it would have affected my choice on where or what I ended up doing and what I do now. When it comes to my career, if there's something different or a mistake that I'm trying to think. I can't think of a concrete example right now, but let's see. No, I can't think of a concrete example when it comes to my career. What would I do differently? Because I really liked my sort of journey. And maybe it's just human psychology now that is sort of blocking out all the mistakes that I've done, and I don't remember them. But yeah, I can't think of anything that I would do differently when it comes to my working life, because and that again, I guess it's again different for different companies. But in Cybercom, we have this very open culture that if you are stuck somewhere, you can always ask for help, and always sort of pick everyone else's brains to find out what they have done had they been in your situation. So I've always made use of that to get as much information as I could from everyone around me. And that sort of helped me navigate tough roads, but I don't think I would change anything about that. So yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're very happy where you are at the moment.
I am.
We touched upon it previously when we're talking about finding a thesis placement, but how did you choose where you went for your thesis? Is there any tips you'd give other students?
Yeah. So what I would say when it comes to finding a thesis, or in general when it comes to company contact, is to try and join any event that is possible that a company hosts. It's a bit difficult these days with COVID, because I don't think a lot of companies are hosting that many online events. But if you see any, join those. When there are face-to-face events, that's even better. I do recommend going to a company and just networking with the employees there, because that's why we have those events, is for us to network with you as well. So I would recommend that as a first step to connect with the company. And then I would just say, just apply, like keep applying to all the companies that you think, after reading through their website, that you think you would like to work with them and get to know them more. Because that's what the interview stage is for you to get to know the company, and for the company to sort of get to know you, and you can then both evaluate whether you think you would be a good fit to work together and proceed forward. So that's what I would say. And don't be afraid to ask questions. So if you are at a fair, a thesis fair, or a job fair, or a school fair, don't be afraid to ask any one question, because no question is a stupid question. And okay, maybe some questions are stupid questions, but I mean, the stupid questions would then be things that's easily available on the website of the company or the school. And no one will actually say that it's a stupid question. They will be happy. I will be happy if you ask me any question about Cybercom to tell you about what we do, even though it is available on our website. But what I would then say is to sort of, when it's an online fair, there's always limited time. So to make the best use of this time, read up about the company before, and then try to think of what would you want to know that would help you with your decision to choose whether you want to work at this company or not. And that is how you end up making the best use of your time and the fair's time, as well as making a good impression to whoever is on the other end of the call. So that's the tip that I would give you. And don't be afraid if you have your own ideas for your thesis project, or for your bachelor project or LEA project or whatever. Don't be afraid to come up with your own ideas, because companies are always looking for new innovative ideas to work with.
Now, gender. A question, as a woman in the tech sector, is there quite a lot of women now? Is it changing, the dynamic?
Okay, so that's a rather tough question to answer, because I know that there are lots of movements and lots of awareness initiatives that are going on around to increase the gender balance. The problem I see from a recruiting point of view, because I sign a lot of candidates to join us, is that we don't find a lot of women applicants. So I don't know why there are not that many women moving into the tech industry. Because in Goa, when I was doing my bachelor's, we had a 55-45 split, with 55% being women in my class and 45% being men. And then when I moved to Sweden, it was slightly different, because there were some classes that had a lot more women, but then there was another class where we were about 100 of us and only 4 women. So yeah, but when it comes to the workplace, I mean, we at Cybercom, we are trying as much as possible to get in more women. For instance, when it comes to thesis workers, last year we had one woman write her thesis with us. This year we have 3 that I've signed. So we are trying as much as possible to increase the number of women. We do have one thing that we try and do with all of our teams is that we have at least a minimum 1 woman in each team that works there, so that we're then trying to sort of build up the number of women per team. And we have a lot of partnerships with Women in Tech, the organization that does a yearly conference every 8th of March. And we have our own sort of women in tech or women networking groups within the company, where we meet up every month or so and discuss what kind of skills we would like to build. We hold workshops, we hold seminars to talk about the gender bias, or are there, unconscious bias against women, and talk about traits and things that people might do without realizing that are sort of against women. But I mean, it's a constant struggle for everyone in the tech industry to get in more women in tech, which I think not only Cybercom but all the companies in tech are trying as much as possible to increase the curve.
So if there's women watching this at the moment thinking, oh, is tech for me? Maybe it's not. Maybe they have that stereotype of it being a male-dominated area only. What would you say to them?
I would say forget what you were thinking. I mean, honestly, I couldn't think of a better industry to work in, because apart from the gender situation, I don't see anything else that is wrong with tech. It's one of the most fastest growing industry. Every year there's something new out there. Every year technology advances, and who wouldn't want to be part of that industry? So I would just say, don't have the thoughts that, oh no, is tech for me because it's mostly a male dominated industry. We can change that. If all of you lovely women out there want to do tech and then do join us, then we increase the number of women in tech. So not too much pressure on you that our future depends on you, but I would say don't hesitate to think about a possible future in tech. And if you do want to get in touch with me and ask me more sort of personally related questions to yourself and your situation, feel free to do that. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Exactly. I think we really need to push that. Like, tech is the future. That is where the job growth is. So it's something that you need to jump on board now.
I completely agree. Because I mean, with sort of the advancement, I don't want to scare anyone here, but with the advancement of artificial intelligence and the different applications of artificial intelligence, tech is going to take a completely different role moving forward, and all other jobs are going to be affected with how tech progresses, whereas the tech jobs will continue to be a lot more stable compared to other jobs. So I would really recommend highly considering a career in tech.
Now, we've been talking for a while now. Time's gone by really quickly. We should go to some of the audience questions, and then we can come back and have a chat depending on how many questions we have. So sure. Let's start. Here's some of the questions from our viewers. Isn't it scary having that much responsibility by being a product owner?
I would say yes, Maria, at the start, because I started out as a product owner in July. And it was quite scary in July not in July because it was summer and everyone was away. But after summer in August, when everyone sort of started coming back from summer, and there was a lot more pressure to get things done and to get your teams to get things done. It was a lot of responsibility and it was a bit scary, but I would just say to, dare to dream and push yourself to to actually achieve what you know you are capable of, and not let your scary inner thoughts cloud your judgment that you can't do things. So it is scary, but it's also very rewarding when you get stuff out and you see the difference that you are making at the company and the general environment and the world later. So yeah, it's very rewarding. Mm-hmm.
How do you work with people from all over the world?
Okay, so let's talk about my teams here in Kista. We have people, so one team, or each of the teams is made up of 9 people each. And among those 9 people, we have people from Sweden, from Finland, from Iran, from Pakistan, from India, from Brazil, from Egypt, from Turkey. So our teams in Kista are with people that have moved from all over the world to Sweden. But then at the same time, I also have teams that are based in different locations. So we always communicate online. So we have Skype or Teams and or Zoom that we schedule a lot of meetings through and always meet up with them. It does take a bit of, I wouldn't say practice, but a bit of scheduling effort because everyone's on a different time zone. So sometimes I have meetings at 7:30 in the morning just to communicate with the people from Asia. And sometimes I have meetings at 6 o'clock in the evening to communicate with the people in the Americas. So it all depends on where the people are, but we have a lot of tools at our disposal, I would say, to then just schedule these meetings and meet up with them all over the world. And then you just, share your screen and show them stuff. And then we do a lot of presentations and do reviews of each other's reports and share general information. So that's a lot of my collaboration. Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how easy it is to work with people from all over the world now.
I agree.
Did you have perfect grades when studying? And did Cybercom care about your grades when you started?
Okay, let's take this in parts, I guess. So I would say back when I was in high school, yes. And then through my undergrad, yes. But then when I moved to my master's, I realized that there is a lot more to life than having perfect grades. So I wouldn't put too much pressure on yourself to get all A's or all B's. What I would say is not to neglect them. When I started working at Cybercom, no, they didn't care about the grades, and that's with most companies. Once you finish studying, the grades are more of a sanity check to just check that you know your stuff and you're not bluffing anyone. What companies or what we or me as a hiring manager, what I care about and what Cybercom also cares about a lot is to see what kind of a person you are and whether you will get along with all the members in your team. We do, of course, have tests that you would need to do. So that would test your technical abilities. So that's why we don't look at or don't weigh your grades so much, because we have our own tests that we want you to answer. But we also put a lot more emphasis on you as a person and what kind of a person you are and how would it be like to work together with you very closely. So I wouldn't say that grades are a very significant portion of your application to start working anywhere. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you learned everything you needed for your job at university?
That's a good question. No, because and that's only because I would say that you can never stop learning. I mean, so what the university gives you, I would say, is a foundation of what you would need for your future. So let's talk about my case. When I did my electronics and telecom, I had no idea that I would ever use the telecom knowledge that I learned there ever in my life. No idea. And then I ended up working in the telecom sector. So I wouldn't say that everything I learned at university was to waste or was not worth it, because it was. I would, however, also say that you do learn a lot more once you start working in the industry, because the industry is very different from school. In school, you learn a lot about the theory, you understand the concepts, you know how things work, you do small projects in controlled environments, whereas when you move to the industry, things are a lot different. They're on a much sort of larger scale, and it's just two completely different environments. So I wouldn't discredit anything that I learned at the university. I really appreciate everything I learned, and it was a really good base and foundation for when I just started out in school, because then I could look back and think of, oh, I learned this, and this is where and how I can apply it. And I sort of connect the dots to what I learned, what I did in a controlled project, to a real life scenario. And then you also grow as you move forward in your career. You learn a lot of things while doing. So yeah, I hope that answered the question a bit.
Definitely, I think so. Right. Do you have any more questions? What kind of products are you working on at the moment?
I don't think I can say, because we have something called a non-disclosure agreement that I have signed, so I can't really give you details on what I am working on, but I can put it in a very fluffy sense. I learned how to use that word in sentences here, because everyone uses the word fluffy.
You do, right? Fluffy.
Exactly. So in a very fluffy context, I am working on some features, so software products that are to be implemented on radios that go out to different telecom operators to help them give you the best service you get on your mobile phones. So that's what I can say without getting into too much details. And some of them, some of the features that we are working on are very good for the environment in terms of a bit of the effects on climate change and on the entire sustainability agenda. So that's something that we are targeting right now with the software products that we're delivering.
If I'd like to pursue my career within the area of embedded systems, any suggestions for what I should begin with? Any specific steps you recommend?
So I'm assuming that you would have then already had either a bachelor's in was it ICT, I think, or computer and electronics, and then possibly a master's if you wanted to. But what I would recommend if you want to move into embedded systems with an engineering background is to, if you're still studying, to try and push your thesis towards that direction, because then you do spend a good chunk of your time. If it's a bachelor program, 10 weeks of your time, and then a master's, 20 weeks of your time, completely immersed in this one area, trying to solve or answer a research question. If it is, or if you are at the stage where you have already finished your studies and you're working in, say, IT programming, and you want to move into embedded systems, then I would look into maybe transitioning towards embedded software and not moving into complete hardware programs or hardware companies. But I'm guessing this question is from a student that is thinking of embedded systems, and then I would recommend to take most advantage of your thesis project and get your thesis in an embedded systems topic or an embedded topic, and focus most of your energy there. Also pick electives. Electives are courses that are not core courses within the program, so it's not chosen for you by the university, but you get a chance to pick a course that you want to study. So in that case, then I would recommend you pick courses that sort of aid your application or help you understand more about embedded systems in a more detailed sense. So those are the general steps I would recommend. Another thing I would recommend is, because this is something I do as well, is to just talk to people from the industry. So there is an app called LinkedIn, or a website called LinkedIn. And what you can do is just go in there and look for people that either work at companies that you would like to know more about, or just type in embedded developer if you are looking for embedded software or embedded systems, and click the tab people, and you'll find a bunch of people that will be listed there. And then you just send them a message and ask them, oh, can we chat or have a fika and get to know a bit more about what it is like that you do on a day-to-day basis, and understand their steps, so that you can then also use their sort of experience to help you define your steps a bit more.
I guess you could do that if you knew you wanted a career in tech as well, but you weren't sure exactly what area.
Yeah,
go on LinkedIn, exactly. Talk a few people and meet up for fika. Problem solved. Okay, in the role of Scrum Master and Product Owner, are you simultaneously communicating with many teams? And number two, in your specific case, how do you handle conflicts within teams if they arise?
Okay, so I'm going to tie in the second question with the Scrum Master part, because that's not really something a product owner does or should do. So what a Scrum Master essentially is we, as I said, we work in cross-functional teams. So we have teams of 9 people. One of those persons works 50% as a developer and 50% of their time as a Scrum Master. A Scrum Master's duty or job is mainly to facilitate the different Scrum ceremonies, which are the daily stand-ups, where you meet every morning and sort of go through your progress of the task you've done the day before. What is your plan today for the task, and what are the impediments, or what is blocking you from completing your task. They also do backlog refinements, which is essentially a meeting where you go through this one chunk of items the product owner gives you and prioritizes for you, and then you break it down into how you as a team want to deliver these codes. So you break it down into steps, and that's what the Scrum Master does together with the team. The Scrum Master is also responsible then for handling conflicts within the team, if there are any. Since I did work as a Scrum Master for a year or year and a half or so, I didn't have any conflict in my team when I was working, but I do know of a sister team that had some conflicts. And the best way that I would recommend that one does handle conflict is to always get both the people to sit face to face and discuss with each other, because people often perceive things very differently from what is being said. So you only listen to what you want to hear. You don't listen to what is being said a lot of the time, especially when one is giving you some sort of constructive feedback. It's normal human tendency to take it as a sort of offhand comment and get on the defense about yourself and try to defend yourself. Rather than actually listen to feedback and work on it. So a lot of the conflicts do arise because of that. And that's why I do recommend that you get both the people to sort of sit together and work it out and sort of talk to each other and try and understand what each other meant to clear the air and sort of dissolve the conflict. As a product owner, you don't really deal with any conflicts, and that's because you don't work as part of a team. A product owner is just one single person that works a lot with the Scrum Master, because the Scrum Master usually is the point of contact between the product owner and the team. So I don't work with, I am not part of the team, but I work a lot with the teams in terms of giving them work to do and what they work with. Do I communicate simultaneously with many teams? Yes and no. So I also work as a product owner for an area within our quality management program where we deliver improvements. And in that case, yes, I do work with, or I do communicate with multiple teams at the same time, because I have a certain number of teams that work within that area that I am responsible for their work. But when it comes to otherwise standalone teams, I don't communicate with the teams at the same time, no.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. It sounds like your job is very different, ever changing. There's no set 9 to 5 schedule. Would you say?
I mean, some days I have really long hours, which go to like 10, 12 hours a day. Some days it's a lot less, where it's like 5, 6. But then again, it depends on your sort of time management. I wouldn't say I'm the best time manager, because when I get items, I want to finish it on one day, because I don't want to then think about it after I close my computer for the day and then say, oh, I need to do item A, B, C, D. I've now started using my Post-its and writing stuff down here so I don't forget. And then I'm just like, it's time. I need to go. I've had a really long day. But I struggle with that a bit. So yeah, it's not... I still have a lot to improve when it comes to my planning and time managing my time. But yeah, every day is never the same. It's always different.
Last question, because we've gone through the audience questions now. What do you see as one of like the most exciting, actually 2 questions. What do you see as one of the most exciting developments that are on the horizon? What are you looking forward to in terms of the technology, the tech sector?
So what I am most looking forward to, I guess I would say, is 5G and its impact on all different industries. Because I know for now the UN is working on a couple of projects with 5G and food waste and water quality and sanitation, which is going to benefit so many third world countries. At the same time, there's lots of applications that are in the process for 5G and healthcare, which is it's going to help and transform medical care so much in the future. So that is what I am most looking forward to, is to, because we've been working and hearing about 5G for years now, or in technology years. That's a long time. We would have gray hair in technology time, but it's been a really long time, and it's in the works that we're gonna soon see a lot of changes into the whole Internet of Things area and realm, and that's what I'm most looking forward to.
And you've given so much amazing advice in terms of study and career options and what people should do. Is there any other general life advice you'd like to give teenagers that you wish you'd been given as a teenager?
What would I say? I don't know what advice I wish I had been given, but I would probably maybe share advice that I was given, which is to have fun and but not too much fun. Have fun in moderations, where you don't have too much fun where it affects your career and the rest of your life. But don't forget to have fun. Don't always be a bookworm, as they say. All fun and no work makes Jill a dull girl. So yeah.
Good advice. Perfect. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been super nice talking to you.